6 months ago, I stood in my parents' driveway after a sleepless overnight flight, staring at the house I'd helped keep afloat. My luggage was still sitting in the trunk. My back ached. My phone held proof of mortgage payments I'd sent month after month without hesitation. I thought I was coming home. Instead, my mother barely looked up from her phone and said, "You can take the couch. Your sister gets the guest house." Just like that. No apology, no hesitation, no explanation. Just a couch. My sister Ava smiled softly, the kind of smile that looked sweet to everyone else, but somehow always made me feel invisible. I remember forcing a smile and saying, "Sure," because when you spend years being treated like the extra piece in your own family puzzle, you learn to stop arguing, you learn to shrink, you learn to convince yourself that less is enough. But sometimes life teaches you a strange lesson. Being underestimated can become your greatest advantage. My name is Rain, and for years my family thought I was the quiet daughter with that little internet project. Mom called my startup a phase. Dad only called to ask whether I could help cover bills. And Ava? She treated my ambitions like hobbies that accidentally paid rent. No one asked what I was building. No one asked what I dreamed about. They only asked what I could give. And I gave. I gave money, time, energy, support, pieces of myself. Until one day I realized something painful. Some people don't see your value while you're giving. They only notice it when you stop. So I stopped explaining myself, stopped asking for approval, stopped waiting for validation to arrive, wrapped in family love. Instead, I worked, quietly. While people laughed at my spreadsheets, I studied markets. While they dismissed my ideas, I built systems. While they looked through me, I kept building. Late nights turned into early mornings, coffee turned into determination, and slowly, impossibly, that little internet thing became something real, then something successful, then something bigger than I had imagined. A few months later, the city announced its Young Visionary Award Gala. I was invited as the featured recipient, but I didn't tell anyone. Not yet, because something interesting had happened 2 months before that. I had quietly purchased an estate through a holding company. The same estate my family once treated like their kingdom. The same place where I had been told I wasn't important enough to host birthday dinners. I bought it, silently, legally, completely, and I waited. The night of the gala arrived. Crystal chandeliers glowed above polished marble floors. Music floated through the room. People laughed softly beneath warm lights. My parents and Ava sat near the front. They thought they were attending another fancy event, just another evening. Then the mayor stepped onto the stage. He adjusted the microphone and smiled. "Please welcome our youngest self-made entrepreneur and visionary." The room turned, and the woman behind one of our city's fastest-growing companies. A pause. Rain Delroy. Silence. Complete silence. I watched my mother lift her glass halfway before freezing. Dad stared. Ava blinked. And then I walked onto the stage, wearing the emerald dress they once said I could never afford. I wasn't angry. I wasn't triumphant. I was calm, because peace looks different when you've earned it. The tribute video started playing behind me. Pictures from my first apartment. Clips of late nights coding. Small victories, big failures, tiny beginnings. The narrator said, she started with $300 and a dream she refused to abandon. The audience leaned forward. Then another image appeared. Property redevelopment partner, Delroy Estates, and beneath it, the address of the building we were standing in. I looked toward my family. Recognition spread slowly across their faces. Confusion first, then shock, then understanding. They finally realized the place they thought belonged to them belonged to me. After the event ended, Mom found me near the entrance. Her expression shifted between disbelief and hurt. "Why didn't you tell us?" she asked. I looked at her for a moment, then smiled softly. I tried, because I had. I sent letters, emails, notifications, but people rarely listen when they've already decided who you are. Ava walked over. "This whole thing feels unnecessary," she said. "Why make it public?" I looked at her. For years I would have apologized. For years I would have shrunk. Not anymore. "I didn't make it public," I said gently. "I just stopped hiding. And there's a difference." Over the next few weeks, something unexpected happened. People reached out. Not because of the estate, not because of money, because of the story. Messages poured in. "I know what it feels like to be overlooked. I was always the backup child, too. Thank you for reminding me I don't need permission to grow." I read every message, every single one, and I realized something. I wasn't the only person who had spent years sitting on someone else's couch waiting for approval. So I started something new. I called it the Couch Fund, a program supporting women and entrepreneurs who started with almost nothing. People who built dreams from corners and borrowed spaces. People who kept going despite hearing not enough their entire lives. Applications flooded in. Thousands, then thousands more. One young woman built an app using public library Wi-Fi. Another launched a handmade business from her kitchen table. Another coded software after night shifts. I saw myself in every story. Because success isn't born in comfort, it's born in persistence. Months later, I received another major award. As I stood on stage accepting it, cameras flashed around the room. I smiled and said, "I want to thank the people who gave me the couch." The audience laughed softly, then became quiet. Because they accidentally taught me how to stand, and I meant it. Not with bitterness, not with anger, with gratitude. Because pain can become fuel if you stop carrying it and start using it. That night, I returned home to my apartment overlooking the city skyline. No giant mansion, no unnecessary luxury, just peace. On my shelf sat an old key attached to a tiny gold frame, the couch key. Not because I wanted to remember rejection, because I wanted to remember growth. Weeks later, Ava called. For the first time in years, there was no attitude, no competition, no performance, just honesty. "I feel lost," she admitted quietly. I listened, really listened. Then I told her something I wish someone had told me years ago. "You don't have to compete for worth, you already have it." Silence, then tears. And in that moment, I understood something important. Healing isn't about winning. It isn't about proving people wrong. It's about becoming someone pain can no longer control. That night, I stood on my balcony looking out over the city lights, thinking about the girl who slept on couches, the girl who paid bills quietly, the girl who thought being ignored meant being unimportant. She had no idea what was waiting for her. No idea she'd someday build something bigger than buildings, bigger than awards, bigger than approval. She built herself. And sometimes that's the greatest success story of all. Because life taught me one final lesson. You don't need a throne to rise. Sometimes all you need is a couch and the decision to stand up.